We are back with yet another installment in the SmackDown vs. Raw series. This one doesn't see much change in the way of matches, but there are definitely a lot of changes that were made elsewhere. So without further ado, let's take a look at SmackDown vs. Raw 2010 for the Xbox 360. The first thing you'll notice after booting this one up is the new THQ training facility, which constantly runs in the background behind the menus. Here you can jump into a quick practice and brush up on just about anything you'd like to, complete with an optional list of tasks that can be completed. This year we get over 65 wrestlers to choose from, with some first-time appearances from the likes of the Bellas, Dolph Ziggler, Jack Swagger, Natalya, and R-Truth among others. This would also be the last time we saw Jeff Hardy, Mr. Kennedy, Umaga, and Carlito in the series. On top of that, this game marks the return of Christian to the franchise, who last appeared in SmackDown vs. Raw 2006, and Goldust, who had been absent since Here Comes the Pain. While 2009 featured a few specialty arenas in addition to the standard weekly shows and pay-per-views, 2010 sticks to the basics with Raw, SmackDown, and ECW, in addition to pay-per-view stages from both 2008 and 2009. And speaking of ECW, this would be the last game in the series to feature the brand in the title. Going into entrances, you'll notice a drop in load times, which is a nice luxury we don't see too often anymore. Speaking of entrances, they all look pretty good here. Sure, some of the animations look a bit goofy, but that's to be expected when one or two wrestlers are responsible for the entire roster's motion capture. But I really enjoy just checking out some of the stages during entrances, as these were the last years for really good set designs within the company, and some of these look really fantastic. The gameplay hasn't changed too drastically, but there are plenty of little changes here and there that make the experience feel fresh. This would be the first game to feature the Havoc-developed physics engine, which features advanced interaction between the wrestlers and the ring ropes. You can definitely see an improvement here, but with that comes your fair share of bugs, like a wrestler's arm or leg getting tangled in the rope, causing said rope to act like a sugar-fueled 3-year-old. There are a few new grapple positions, including the ring apron and at the side of a downed opponent. They've also reworked the counter system, which now features a single button for both strikes and grapples, making reversals a little easier to perform. Visually, you might notice a few changes for 2010, like how bodies now show signs of wear and tear, like a wrestler's chest becoming red after a series of chops. The HUD has also been cleaned up for this year, featuring a very clean, minimal presentation. We also get a series of new camera angles this year that change as the match progresses, which adds a nice level of visual diversity. While they didn't add anything groundbreaking as far as new match types go, the variety is still impressive here. Of course, you still have your specialty matches like TLC and Ladder, which feature slight upgrades, including a ray of light to help guide your way to the hanging object, as well as a new fatigue system that helps add some realism when climbing the ladder. And speaking of realism,
from the top of the ladder to the floor.
the cage match is pretty much untouched, with the exception of the meter used to exit the cage, which functions the same way, but it looks a little different. Other matches like Elimination Chamber and Hell in a Cell also remain the same as they have for a while now, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The Inferno match makes a return, and while I always appreciate variety, it still doesn't offer a very high replay value in my opinion due to its limitations. One little addition that many probably wouldn't notice is the fact that the referee now follows the wrestlers outside of the ring in a Falls Count Anywhere match. One new match type for this year is the Intergender Tag Team match, which, as the title implies, faces two teams of both one male and one female wrestler against each other. Just make sure that once your opponent makes the tag to the other gender, you do the same, as you will be disqualified for attacking the opposite sex. There are also 5 all-new backstage areas compared to last year's 2, and just like the earlier SmackDown games, the environments are getting back to being a little more interactive, which is always a great thing. While the Royal Rumble isn't a new match type by any means, the modifications made here make it feel brand new. Each time a wrestler is thrown over the ropes, a button-mashing minigame is initiated where the player must repeatedly press the corresponding button to either eliminate his opponent or to keep from being eliminated. Wrestlers can now be eliminated from the turnbuckles as well with a similar minigame, only instead of mashing buttons, a player must be the first to press the corresponding button, which requires quick reaction time. On top of this, wrestlers can use special finishers to eliminate an opponent, bypassing these minigames altogether. All in all, the changes here have brought new life to an aging match type. The Championship Scramble is a title match that consists of a specific time limit and 5 superstars. The match starts with 2 wrestlers in the ring, with a wrestler entering every 60 seconds. Within the time limit, any wrestler who scores a pinfall wins the title, and the wrestler holding the title when the time limit is up becomes the champion. There are a lot of alternate ring attires featured in the game for wrestlers, which is great, but even better is the addition of superstar threads. This allows a player to edit the color of any superstar's outfit, creating numerous attires to choose from. You can choose to recreate a color scheme from a wrestler's past, or simply create something all new and unique. Also new is the WWE Rivals feature, which allows a player the ability to edit not only a list of a specific superstar's enemies, but also lets you select his or her allies. The further up you place a wrestler on the list, the more important the relationship. Along with these customization options comes a revamped Create a Wrestler. This year's mode features all new 3D attires and parts that help the overall presentation and blur those lines between a created wrestler and a WWE superstar. The problem here is that instead of being limited to a certain amount of layers like games of the past, you now have points that you need to stay within. And these points vary from one article of clothing to another, with items like jackets taking up a large amount of points. And when you run out of points, well, you're out of luck. Another minor letdown is the drop in announcer names for your wrestler in comparison to what was offered for the last title. There is a new paint tool which lets a player create logos or any kind of art they desire, which comes in handy if you're glued to this mode as I am. Players can now share creations online with other members of the WWE gaming community, so if you're not the greatest artiste or just don't want to spend all day recreating the likes of Hollywood Hogan, you can just download him. Well, I don't think you can anymore. I tried to access this feature, but it appears that the servers are long gone, but this feature was amazing for its time, and I spent many hours browsing other people's work. Whereas 2009 forced a player to compete in the game's career mode to earn attributes for a created wrestler, any match will do here in 2010. And this time you have control over where to apply those points, so if you want to focus strictly on making your wrestler more powerful, you can do exactly that. The highlight reel is back, and this time you can actually convert your video into an entrance video or Titantron video. This is something that I had been waiting for since, probably WrestleMania 2000 for the Nintendo 64, and while it's not perfect, at the time I couldn't be happier to have it. The Creative Finisher now features the ability to create aerial moves. These can be as realistic or as ridiculous as you'd like. Simply chain a series of moves together and finish it off with options for how high and far your wrestler will jump. And rounding out the creation modes is the all-new Create a Story. This is the mode that took wrestling game fans by storm and led to hours upon hours of our imaginations running wild. Here you can create storylines involving different wrestlers in all sorts of situations. You can select from over 100 pre-animated skits with different options for location, music, commentary, text, entrance video, and even the emotion on the wrestlers' faces. Tie this into a full card and you can create the greatest episode in Monday Night Raw history if you'd like. The only drawback is the fact that created wrestlers can only appear up to 10 times total in a story. So if you have 5 created wrestlers in mind for your story, they would only be able to make 2 appearances each. Not sure why this even exists, but it shouldn't. Regardless, this is one hell of a mode that fans of the series have been fighting for to return. The career mode from last year is back and pretty much unaltered, but the main mode of play is the Road to WrestleMania. Here you can take control of either Mickie James, Shawn Michaels, Edge, Randy Orton, Triple H, and John Cena, who both share a story, and new for this year is the option to play as a created wrestler. Each superstar has his or her own unique story that you'll follow, complete with cutscenes and the ability to make decisions that will affect the path your story heads down. You'll also face a series of optional and mandatory tasks that need to be completed to unlock items like alternate attires and wrestlers. The show intros, backstage run-ins, threatening voicemails, all these things help make this mode one of the most entertaining aspects of the game, which, in addition to all the other new features, presents to us a pretty complete package. It's not a perfect game, I'm not saying that, but during a time when, let's be honest, the product was really taking a nosedive, they were able to deliver a game that, if even for a moment, made us forget that the better days of wrestling were behind us. Well, we're getting close to the end of the series, as there are only 5 games left that I have yet to review. I just wanted to say a quick thank you to everybody who constantly watches, likes, and comments on my videos. You guys keep me creating, so again, thank you. And of course, stay tuned for more videos. I've got Twisted Metal for the PS3 in the works, as well as SmackDown vs. Raw 2011, and a few other little goodies. We'll be back to do it again next week.
He got broken in half, and the wood splinters are everywhere. He's letting everyone know how he feels now.